when you see, we still have a lot. So actually the first point will be, okay, our current situation and how the future looks like. We also talk about making all the offers we still have without candidates. So what we used to call unused offers, how to make them public and visible to the students. And once they're visible to the students, how to attract students. And once we have a huge crowd of students approaching us, we need to find kind of new ways how to deal with students, as it's not the standard calendar-oriented IAESTE process. And of course, at the end, we will have the Q&A session. As I already said, introduce you to the team for today. The presenters will be Christina, Bruce, and myself. And of course, we also have Michael and Valentina, who will also help to manage the chat. So if you have any question, you can always type them in the chat box. You already know how to use it. And the webinar, just for your information, is being recorded, so we will share it. So where to start with? Those of you who have been at the general conference and participated in the discussion about the exchange and the strategy, you may remember this slide already. So as you see, the trend is not optimistic, and we are dropping year by year. I would say every 10 years is 1,000 students less. So if you had to guess how many, when actually IAESTE will exchange its last student, when it will be? And if you have a guess, you can type it in the chat box. And if someone from the team could read it, because I don't see the chat box for some reason. Is there any guess?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. So I think if you estimated, I think Bernard did the estimation and it was around 2040. So it's in 20 years. But I guess, I hope this is, let's say, the bottom, and we will move on. And we have already defined the steps, what we want to do. And actually there are our strategy for next 2 years is to stop decreasing. So we are not dreaming anymore about reaching 5,000 internships in 2020. We simply at least want to keep the current level and to stabilize and really to stop decreasing. And we see there are like many ways we can do it, and we have chosen 3, and that was accepted by the general conference. And we believe everyone in IAESTE is committed to this now. So we want to reduce offers without nominations. And this is what during this webinar we will focus on. We also need to increase the acceptance rate of those students who are nominated, and also reduce the time between nomination and acceptance, just to be faster. But today we are going to focus on reducing offers without nominations. The good news is, I think, that we are successful in job raising. I think every year we raise between 5,000 and 6,000 internships. So here we are successful. And I guess when we raise offers, we make promise to the employers, and we usually promise them to bring them students. And I also believe this is another reason why we should focus on finding good candidates for all offers we have available, simply to keep the promise we made when we were raising the offers somewhere in October, maybe December, or maybe even now. And I think Christina now will tell you actually what the situation is for today.
So as today, I made these statistics in the morning, so it keeps changing during the day. But in the morning, there were around almost 800 unused AC offers, which are basically offers which passed the deadline and now are not published to any country. And if they will not get republished, they will not be used at all this year. And that's all the effort for raising a job which could be lost. And we could turn these offers either into COBE or FCFS offers in order to publish them to the student pool we have and to use them so we can increase our numbers. Currently, almost 400 offers, COBE and FCFS offers are published because on Monday after the deadline passed, there were, I think, 1,200 unused AC unused AC offers. So a lot of countries already started to work with those offers and started to republish them as soon as possible in order to find the students as soon as possible for the employers to which they made their promises. Olga?
Yes. So I think now it's Bruce time.
Okay. So what we do know is that the world is full of millions of students in science and engineering, undergraduates all over the world, and we reach many of them, but there are many more that we don't currently reach for one reason or another. So we figured one of the ways in which we could help on the international level to help stop the decline which Olga talked about earlier was to let the students of the world know about our unused COBE and FCFS offers. Olga, next slide, please. We have the potential to reach thousands of students from outside of the IAESTE world. So what I mean by that is that, you know, every country has its own system. Perhaps they have relationships with some universities. There's some noise in the background. Michael, could you mute whatever's making the noise, please? And one of the things that we want to do is to try and reach outside of that pool of students that are already hearing about our offers and find eligible students from elsewhere, because we know they're out there, but it's our job to actually kind of find them and share the offers with them. Next slide, please, Olga. So how will we do this? Well, we will have a single page where students can see all of the COBE and FCFS open offers. In order to do this, we set up a global country on the EP. So if a COBE or FCFS offer is shared to global, then it means, look, we can show it to students and encourage students to apply for that offer. And we'll do this through a web page called openinternships.iaeste.org. We have a holding page at the moment that we created ourselves, but we have actually also finished the page on the iaeste.org website. We just need to transfer the domain over. So I'll quickly share my screen and show you how it will look on the website. Olga, would you mind stopping sharing the screen for a sec? Thank you. Share. Yeah. So hopefully you can see on the screen now the page that's going to be on the website at openinternships.iaeste.org. We have some instructions, so telling students what they can find there, as in the currently still open offers for applications, and the process that they need to follow in order to apply, which we'll talk about more a bit later in the presentation. But it's important to note that even though we're doing this and we're promoting them to students that perhaps haven't heard of IAESTE, the process for applying will always be the same. Those students will always have to contact their national office to apply for an offer. So that won't change at all. And you can see here, embedded into the website is the list of all COBE and FCFS offers that are currently shared with the global country. As you can see, there are quite a few pages of offers. And by sharing this and promoting it, we think that we have a much greater potential to find candidates, because that's the problem we're having at the moment, I think, is that we have the offers, but we're struggling to find the candidates, especially perhaps in some fields more than others. Okay, Olga, could you go back to the presentation, please?
Okay.
So in order to make this page visible to as many people as possible, we're going to run campaigns, regular campaigns, using our social media, including our Facebook page with paid promotion, our LinkedIn, especially our Instagram page, which is very, very active and is growing quite rapidly. And the audience on Instagram is the kind of target audience that we're looking for. So I think that will be a good resource. And also Twitter as well. Additionally, we have our monthly opportunities newsletter. So we'll be able to include information about open internships in the regular newsletter. And of course, you've seen where I showed you the website that has, you know, over 250,000 visitors per year. So it gives people the opportunity to find out about IAESTE, but also if they're looking for something to apply for right now, then they'll be able to do that if there's something suitable for them. We plan to kick it off on the 8th of April. We've almost got everything ready. We just need a couple more graphics, and then we're ready to go and to open this to the students of the world. Next page, please, Olga.
Coming.
You may be interested to see a video that has been made to promote open internships, .iasd.org. The footage was used by IAESTE Japan in a short video, and we've managed to kind of edit some of that because it's very suitable for promoting this particular project as well. And if you want to take a look at that, it's in the library, and then there's also a YouTube. You can find it on our YouTube channel as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Next page, please. Now, one of the inspiring things that led us along this sort of path to wanting to do this is looking at some of the great stuff that countries are already doing to publicize open offers that they're trying to find students for. And you can see on the screen several examples of what countries are doing to promote offers. And we think it's a really sort of effective way of doing it. So we're going to use a similar kind of format in these kind of social images that give the basic details of the internship, and then direct people to the web page to find out more and how to apply. This is the kind of graphic that we will be sharing. Our designer is creating for us some templates for particular study fields. So if we wanted to promote a particular offer, rather than the sort of generally just promoting the page, this is how it would look. So we got the website address at the top, the reference number of the particular offer. This one, for example, is in New York. We've got the dates and the time periods, the payment, and the country that's organizing it, and the study field there. So in the text that is along with this post would be the details of how to find the student PDF form and get more details and how to apply. Now, we are going to be aiming our campaigning in two ways. The first way is a general campaign, just to direct people to the webpage so they can see the list of all of the offers. But we also want to offer you the opportunity, if you have a particular offer that you need to find a student for, maybe because it's urgent, or an employer that you really need to keep happy because you don't want to lose them, you can ask us to promote it for you and to help find the right person. So we're happy to do this for you. And there's just a few things that you'd need to do if you wanted us to do this for you. You'd need to make sure the offer is attractive. So important to have a good work description. So if the offer doesn't currently have a good work description, perhaps flesh it out, put some more detail in, make it more attractive. You need to make sure it's shared with global on the EP, so it will appear on the website in the list. And you need to provide us with the offer number using a form that we've created, which I can show you now. Olga, if you would like to stop screen sharing.
Yeah.
And I will share my screen. Share. I'm going to show you the form that we've created. Oh, that's not the form. This is the form. No, that's not the form. Where's the form gone? Here it is. Sorry, got so many tabs. Okay, so here, that link that you can see on the screen, you would go here, you would complete it. You'd fill in your email address and your name so we know who's sending it. You'd put the reference number of the offer you wish to promote, making sure it's shared with global. We are asking for you to include some main selling points of the offer. So if it's in a particularly attractive area, or the payment is particularly good in relation to the others, some things that might help it stand out. So if there are some, you can include those there so we can use those in the promotion. And then also there's a space for you to upload if there's any additional information. You might have an incoming student guide or something that you feel might help people to make the offer more attractive. So you would complete that, click send, and then we would receive the details, and then we will, usually within 48 hours, we will promote that offer on our social media. Olga, would you like to take back control? Let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
How do I stop?
I had to stop you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so then we will promote that offer for you, and hopefully you will receive lots of applications for it. As I mentioned before, students always have to follow the application rules of their country. So they would sign up on the EP, and then they would contact you to let you know that they've signed up on the EP and they're interested in this offer. And then it's up to you to manage that process within your own structure and systems. If you have any questions about promoting particular offers, you can always email promote@iasde.org. Next slide, please, Olga.
Oh yeah, and I think this is the slide for Christina already.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So once you have any unused offers, I hope as few as possible. But if you have some, in order to make them used and find the students for them, there are a few steps which should be followed when you're resharing this offer. So before you even make this offer public, it's good to review all the information that is on the offer, if it's up to date, if it even makes sense to republish the offer with the training period. And it's always good to discuss this with the employer, ask them how long they can wait for their students. So you don't republish the offer, and then you send this the nomination to the employer, and they say, oh no, it's too late, you said latest at the end of March. So it's always good to be in touch with the employer, see what he's thinking, when does he want the student to start, what is the latest time they can really accept the student and he can arrive. So look at the training period, if it can be postponed or not, if it's really urgent and the student needs to start as soon as possible. It's always good to consider what is the visa and work permit process in your country if it takes really long time, and consider this when you're sharing it with the countries if you need to limit it for this reason. But if there's enough time, always try to share this with as many countries as possible, because it increases your chances of finding the student as soon as possible. Then it's always good to review the work description. If it's not very short, if the employer just didn't write one sentence and it's not really understandable what the student will do. And so just to discuss with the employer, you can just you can edit the offer for them while you have them on the phone or when you have a meeting with them, just to discuss how to make the offer more attractive, and see if the employer does not have too many requirements, either about the experience of the student or the languages the student needs to speak. So try to negotiate with them on what is really needed, because I guess all of you have already some experience, so you see which offers are harder to find students for. So you can give them some feedback if they really require this, then the chances of finding the students are really low. So you can advise them that maybe some of the requirements cannot be so strict if they want to find the student. Okay, next slide. So once you have the offer form reviewed, you reviewed the work description, the requirements, you discussed with the employer regarding the nomination deadline and the training period. When you have this offer ready, try to look if there are not any students which got rejected by your other employers, or students which were whose offer was canceled. See if maybe some of them could be a good fit, and try to ask the country if they would be interested in this offer, if the student is still available. I mean, this is a nice gesture, but also the student was already ready to go to your country and already wanted to go for an internship. So it's easier to convince such students to go for this internship rather than publishing the offer to all countries. If that is not successful and you don't see any student which would be interested or is still available, you can publish the offer either as COBE or FCFS. The difference is that for COBE, you are waiting until the nomination deadline to receive as many nominations as possible. And the deadline you set is usually 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But then if you have FCFS, which basically stands for first come, first served, which explains the process, is that the first student which is interested in this offer and the sending country assigns them to the offer, and that student is the first one who can submit a nomination. And if that student is not suitable, then you republish the offer and you are again waiting for the first student which submits his or her nomination. The nomination deadline for FCFS offers can be shorter but longer. It doesn't really matter because you're just waiting for the first student to submit their nomination. And then when you're sharing the offer, you should consider if there are not too strict work permit or visa conditions. So even if you publish it to all countries, for some it would be impossible to get the visa in time for the student to start. So you limit the countries you share it with. But so be careful about this. But again, don't limit the countries if it's not really necessary. Next slide. And okay, let's have a look how it looks like on the EP. Okay. So you see my screen, and when you're logged in as an Exchange administrator, you just click on Incoming to see your unused offers. You will see them under Ready for Sharing because they're basically ready to be shared. You just need to review them and update certain information. So if you have this unused offer, you look at, you click on Ready for Sharing so you can edit, but first you need to postpone the nomination deadline. Then it opens so you can edit any information which is there. So first I will have a look at the information I have there filled. So I look at which student is required. I see there are a lot of requirements for the student. So I will try to contact the employer and see if all of that is really necessary. And when I have a look at the work description, I see it's very, very short. So I will try to ask him about that as well. And I click on Back to Draft so I can edit all this information. And I start talking to the employer, like, how important is it that the student speaks German? Will he or she use German every day? Does the student need to speak excellent German, or is it just preferred? So maybe I find out that it's only preferred if the student speaks German and it's not required. So I can just get rid of this and write here that German speaking student is preferred. And that already opens up the student pool. Or I have a look in what other knowledge and experiences are required. So I ask if this previous experience is really required, or does his theoretical knowledge is enough, and so on, or if the experience with these methods which the student needs to use is necessary, or they just need to have a basic knowledge of them, how does it work, but they can teach them during the first days. So maybe I found out that maybe this previous experience is required, but maybe just basic knowledge of these methods is enough. Then I look at also the other requirements. I see that the internship should start in May latest, so I try to talk to the employer again. Is it really necessary that the student starts in May, or can it be postponed? And maybe in this case, they tell me that the project is starting in May, so they need the student to be there in May. So they cannot push this, but it's best to ask about all of this stuff if it's really necessary. And if I go further to the work descriptions, I again discuss with the employer that this is not understandable for the student what they will do, so I will try to ask more details what they expect from the student. So I find out more details, and I can write it for the employer there, and then once we agree on something, I can send it to them and for final approval. But I can help them with this administration, that I just talk to them on the phone or during the meeting, but I do this this form for them, so it's easier on them, but the offer will be more attractive, which can attract more students. So I will just write here something. Okay, but maybe it's not enough to know what the student will work on, but if he will work in which environment. So I find out the student will work in a laboratory and will work in a team, and that basic training will be planned for the first week of the internship. So just try to talk to your employers if there's like these little details which you can add to the work description. This is still quite a short work description. This is just like an example how it could look like, but I would advise you to try to write as many details as possible. Then you have a look at the work period. You see it's still quite, it would be quite flexible, except for the requirement that the student needs to start in May. So after discussion with the employer is saying that the project starts in May and the student needs to be there, that you cannot really do much about this. This usually stays the same, but you decide what the deadline for the nomination will be based on the exchange type. But before I choose the exchange type, if you make any changes here, it's good to save draft and then change the exchange type because it can delete all the changes which you made. So I agree with the employer that he wants to. We will publish it as Kobe. I look at the calendar. I see in 2 weeks it's the 17th. So I add this offer like this. Because it was not the employer editing this, I can send the employer the PDF, or I can just ask him to log into the Exchange platform if they have an account and to check it on their own if they agree with all the changes. Once I have this approved from the employer, I go further and publish it. I am a great country, so I have no visa and work permit conditions. So I can publish it to all. But in case it's really strict, I guess if the student needs to start in May, I think for a lot of countries it would be limiting. So I would check the countries where I know it's possible to handle it in such short notice. And then I just publish it. So that's what you do. And we can go back, I guess, Olga, to your presentation. So if you want to publish all the offers you have available for your own country, what you can easily do is ask the ITS to provide you with a link with all the offers which are available for your country. So if you are the one who has a lot of students who still want to go for an internship, you can just ask for this link. It's basically, it will look similar as the box which you can see on the Open Internships website, which Bruce showed. So you will have this list available, and it's easy to share with your students. So you can add this link to your website, promote it through your social media. And what is important, if you really make your process easier to control which students are interested in the offers, interested in going abroad, you can ask them to register on the exchange platform, where you can keep track of the students' registrations. What you need to take care of is that once the student submits their profile for verification, for them to see the list in the exchange platform, you need to verify them. So you need to take care of this, but you can easily give the students instructions in the exchange platform, so they know what to do, which documents to upload, and how will they apply for offers. I will show that later again. So now we can go further with the presentation. Okay. I know a lot of countries are still focused on this AC offers application, but in order to increase our numbers of realized internships, we need to be also flexible with application throughout the whole year. So we want to give you an example how to handle applications throughout the whole year for this FCFS and COBE offers. So together we can stop decreasing the IST numbers and start increasing. So the process might go just that the student sees an interesting offer, the student registers on the exchange platform, or the student already has a profile on the exchange platform. If you're already familiar with using the student access, and they can submit whatever documents you need from them there. You can put instructions there for them. So the student registers, then the student can just send you an email with the reference number of the offer they're applying to. You can see in the exchange platform the profile of the student, see the offer, so you can check if the student fits all the requirements, and then if he does, then you can just assign him to the offer and the student can submit their nomination. If we go further, the presentation, what will you need to set up? Basically, what you need to set up are the instructions in the exchange platform, which we introduced earlier this year. So you fill in instructions for the student how to submit their profile. So you give them instructions which fields they need to fill in, which information they need to fill in, and what documents they need to upload. And I think at this point it's also important to familiarize them with your fee structure. So how much they will have to pay, when they will have to pay it, and how. So it's always good to give them some conditions, how it works in your country. And then there's another box to give them specific instructions how to apply for an offer. in this case, if you're not using the student access, so your students are normally not registered in the exchange platform, and any new students who are interested in the open offers would be registering new, it's good to give also the instructions how to apply for an offer to the ones for submitting a profile. So it makes the process faster that they upload and fill in all the information when they're already submitting the profile, and they can just send you an email at the same time that they're interested in a specific offer. So, but I will show that again later. Then what you need to set up is email address where the student can, one slide back still. You need to set up an email address where the students can write when they're interested in an offer. You can, of course, use the email address of your committee, but maybe you want to simplify it to just call it application@IAESTE or something. It's up to you. You just need to decide where the student needs to write if they're interested in an offer, and then decide what will be basically the fee structure for these nominations in case the one you have for AC offers is not applicable. What I would advise at this for the applications for COBE and FCFS offers, because the students need to submit their nominations as soon as possible, it's quite difficult for them to pay a big amount of money very quickly for some of them. I guess you know your students better than I do, but I would advise you that maybe think if they can pay just smaller deposit and then the rest of the fee when they're accepted, because also the chances of getting accepted are a bit lower than for AC offers. So just something to think about, but that's what you need to get ready if you want students to apply throughout the whole year. We can go further. And how does the selection of the student works in this case? So you can ask the student to upload documents in his profile, which will help you decide if the student fits the employer requirements. The basics are CV. Then what, from my experience, helps is a cover letter. If the student can already write a simple cover letter, why they're the best candidates for this internships, because it helps you understand why they are fitting to certain requirements. And then transcript of records, I would advise to ask for this when it's really required that the student has good academic records. Maybe in other cases, it's just enough to know from the CV what is the field of study of the student and kind of the area in where he's studying, or just ask for a list of subjects. It depends. I think you know how it works in your countries, how difficult it is to get the transcript of records. But I think the CV is the basic document where you can have a quick look if the student is fitting to the requirements. Once you would get an email from the student, you would just open the offer PDF in the Exchange platform and the student profile and basically just start comparing. What you need to take care of is if the student fits to all the requirements which are written in the offer PDF. So the completed years of study, the general discipline, the field of study, any other requirements. Like I wrote, maybe the student needs to know certain methods. If they don't write it in their CV or cover letter, you can just call them and ask them if they know it, and if they do, that they should probably mention it in a cover letter because it's not clear from their CV. So discuss also with them. So if you find out the student fulfills all the requirements which are in the offer PDF, you would just assign the student and they can start creating a nomination. as I said, if you have any doubts, just call the student to find out more. Or you can also contact the hosting committee. I think they would be really happy to tell you if like how strict the employer is and what are their expectations. So I think they would be really willing to help you in case you're not sure about anything. We can go further. So how will it look like from the student point of view? The student is going through Facebook, suddenly sees a advertisement that there is an open internship in a country where he really wants to go. It's in his fields of study. He clicks on the link to find more details. He finds out it's perfect, that it's just for the right period when he has time. And so he signs up on the exchange platform, completes the profile, uploads his documents, reads all the instructions to know what he needs to fill in, and follow it. Then he submits it, waits to be verified, and in the meantime, he can already send an email to his IST country about the offer, saying, I'm super interested in this offer. Always ask the student to write a reference number so there's no confusion. The student gets verified, and you can check his profile, the offer requirements, and see if all the requirements are fulfilled. You see that he's perfect, so you assign him to the offer, tell him when and how much he will have to pay, and tell him to follow the instructions which are written there for the nominations. He completes the nomination documents, you check them, and you can just approve them in the exchange platform, and they get confirmed to the receiving country. So if the student already fills in the nomination in the platform, you don't need to upload any documents there. You just click on a button and it can get confirmed to the other country, or you can ask for any corrections if it's needed. So the student is nominated and is waiting for an answer, and is communicating with his committee. And at this point, it depends when you ask him, he needs to pay the fee, if he needs to pay something with the nomination, or he pays only when he's accepted. So you'll see. And then the student receives a great message that he got accepted and he can go for an internship. So this is kind of an ideal case, how it would work. Let's go on. Okay, let's take a look. So, imagine I'm a student. I found on the website of Open Internships offer which I like, but I need to register in the exchange platform. So I go in. You can just tell the students to go to IST.net. They will, they get there. You tell them to click on register with us. Are you a student? Tell them to register as a student. I am a student of TESB country, but they should fill in the country they are studying in. So the one which will administer their nomination. So I register. You need to choose a email address. Okay. And let's say I come from Antarctica. And the student needs to accept the terms, says he's not a robot. Okay. When the registration is complete, the student will receive access an email with his login details. So I just need to find out mine. Okay, so when the students log in, they need to read through the terms and conditions as you had to and accept them, update the password to something they will remember, as is not a generic. And when they register, they need to submit their profile for verification first before they can do anything. So I need to fill in all the missing information. I don't have any local committee, female, nationality, for example. And here comes the part where you can ask the students to put, fill in any extra information, upload any extra documents. So for the usual process, I need from each student a desired destination, average grade, and a CV. But you can also add that if, in case they're already interested in specific internship offer, maybe because they already saw it on some web page, that they can already upload more documents which, based on which you can already see if they're fitting to the requirements, and tell them what they need to do so they can apply. So you tell them that they need to send an email. You can also upload any conditions you have in your country, including the fees they need to pay. And you can also tell them to visit your website in case you have everything written there. But it's good to tell them what they need to fill in here and which documents they need to upload. So I will register as a student, master, E5. Okay. And I saw that because I'm already interested in an offer, I need to upload CV, motivation letter, and transcript of records in case it's required. So documents the student can upload easily here. Here you can ask the students to upload more documents. It doesn't need to be just one. So in case you need anything else from the students, you can just ask them to upload it here. It's better to ask the students to upload their documents here rather than send it over by email, because then there's the problem of data protection, and you would need to ask the students to agree in the email that you are handling the CV and motivation letter where his or her personal data are included. But if they upload it here, it's already handled. in the terms. And yeah, I see no desired destinations anywhere. Let's say an average grade. I don't know what's the grading scale in your countries, but I guess you know, so you'll see. I check as a student, I check again that I uploaded everything, filled in everything. I see that I covered everything, so I can submit it for, oh, here I missed them. Oh yes, I need to, as a student, I need to fill in date of birth. Let's say, for example, and also the emergency contact. John. So as a student, I filled in all the information, and I saw that I need to send an email because if I'm interested in an offer, so yeah, I would just go and send an email that I'm interested in the reference number, this and this, and I completed my profile on the Exchange platform according to your instructions. And if you're an administrator, let me check which one. No. If you're an exchange administrator, you can easily keep track of your students under administration and students. Under pending verification, you will have the list of students which submitted their profile for verifications. As I see if the student has uploaded everything, so I can verify them, or if in case you have any other rules, you check for those. And the student has sent me an email that he's interested in something. So yeah, you go to outgoing, you look at the available offers, you find the offer which the student emailed you about. You can just open the PDF and you can keep it open and open the profile of the student in another window. And you can start looking into if the student fits the requirements, and look in the CV, motivational letter, and transcript of records. So that's how you can handle it. If you see everything is okay, you can just follow the process which you all know, and you just go to the offer. Oh, this one is already there. And you can just go to the offer and assign the student. And from this point, the student can already start working on the nomination. Yes, the student already sees it here. You can just email them. You're fitting to the requirements. Complete the nomination according to the instructions in the Exchange platform. So as a student, I just continue according to what I have here. And then when the student submits their nomination, just confirm them in case the nomination is okay. So that's how you do this. In case you need to know how to upload the instructions which you saw in the student profile, you just go to the profile of your national committee, and instructions down here. And you can put your instructions here, which is what the student will see in his profile when they're filling it in. Or if you already have students registered in the Exchange platform, there's also an option to put the instructions here, where you basically copy paste most of the information, and that's the box right here. To both, you can upload any documents which are important for your student to read through or have at this point. So that's it from how it can work in the Exchange platform. Okay, back to the presentation.
Yeah. So I think we have shown how to get ready for the crowd. There are really millions of students, but we are also totally aware that this is not exactly what everyone is used to do, as we are mostly used to deal with the AC offers and calendar-oriented process and dealing with students. So we defined few traps we can experience in this like upcoming weeks. Of course, it's increased workload for every one of us. Then it's change of the standard application process, and Christine already explained the details. Of course, it's also changed the way you select your students, and what we are mostly considered about is it can create a lot of emails and questions and massive communication from students. And unfortunately, out of our experience, we know it's not always happening as fast as students could wish. So how to deal with increased workload? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. So first of all, I think we know we can handle it. We did it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and even we did it without internet, without any communication tools, and without the Exchange platform. And we were able to handle double number of students than we're handling now. And I think we already have made a promise to our employers that we are going to handle these offers for them. So I think an extra effort is really worth to make here. And with applications, I think Christina explained it very well already, what you can do. But first of all, we are not changing the standard AC offers, what you have exchanged at the annual conference. What we want to address is the thousands of offers available now that could be available now because they are in the unused status. So just transfer them to first come, first serve or COBE offers and make them available. The next point would be deadlines. I went through websites of a few countries, and usually there is information that there is a deadline to apply for IAESTE internship. I would say release deadlines now, ask students to check in. So no deadlines at this moment. Just make the pool open and simply collect students. I think it will also benefit for the AC exchange, because simply you will have a better pool of students and bigger pool of students. And as Christina mentioned, all the details we have to consider now is to update the information on the website, update the instructions, and make sure that the contact details are up to date. And it's also important to monitor students signing up for the Exchange platform. It might be that you don't work through the exchange platform yet, so it will be really important at least to set the instructions, okay, that they have to contact you even if they sign up to be verified, and communicate with students. That's the basic rule. Regarding the selection process, again, here in many countries we are used to work with rankings, but we know that doing a ranking, it takes time, and even to have a ranking you need to have like several students applying for the same offer. So I would say for the COBE FCF offers, just forget about the ranking and just check if a student matches the profile, if the student's profile matches the employer's requirements. And exactly how to do it, Christina explained before. I think we simply aim to send as many students as possible. And we have the potential, we have offers, and there is really millions of students who are waiting, I think, for internships. So I cannot believe that we cannot find one student interested in the offer we have created. And the biggest issue we see, because every day we are getting emails or messages on our social media from students asking how they can communicate with their national committee, because whatever they have tried, it didn't work, or the email address is not working, or simply the country doesn't reply. And we are very afraid of the bad communication, because first of all, it can harm IAESTE reputation. So if there is a student not satisfied or like simply feels ignored by the committee, he will tell like hundreds of people about it. And you know how fast it can go through the social media. So that's what we are worried about, and we will take a look on it. It can also create tensions between countries, because I can imagine if I cannot get in touch with my home country, I will try to get in touch with the country where I would like to go for an internship. So instead of contacting Poland, I can contact directly IAESTE US, because I really like the offer on Alaska they just sent yesterday. And then I think IAESTE US will contact my country, Poland, while you are not communicating with your students. And it can also create tensions within countries itself, when there are like several students and different universities. Might be that there are some students from the universities who are not part of the national committees applying, and that also can create some extra communication. So we want to make sure we are aware of it. So what we can do, and first of all, why we can do it, because all countries who are members of IAESTE, so the national committees, should make the internship program available for all students. So because once you become a member of IAESTE, you set up the national committee, and this national committee gets kind of monopoly for IAESTE program in the country. So we assume the program should be, of course, under the conditions set by the country. It should be open for all students. So we will play a bit the role of the Santa Claus looking, and we will simply monitor the number of students signing up to the exchange platform, and to anticipate the bad situation we can adapt. We will approach countries to check if they work with the exchange platform, if they know how to deal with it, to make sure that at least students are getting replies, or they know why they are not nominated, etc. And we also expect that in some cases we will have to communicate with countries and students, but we are ready for that. And because we simply, as I said, what the tagline for this year is, it's each offer counts, each student counts, and we really have to stop decreasing. So all hands on boards, and we really take care of each single offer. So please promote offers. Please make them available. Please share them with the global country. And if you want your domestic offers to be promoted on the social media, we are very keen to do it, and Bruce already explained how it will work. And we of course want to attract students to these offers, so please make your students going for internships, so please make it available to them to apply right now. And I think that's all what we wanted to present. So if you have any questions, just please ask, or you can type it in the chat box, what was already happening. So you're welcome. So now it's the time for you. Okay, there are questions from Stefan. Oh, okay, it's the question about the graph in 1965. Okay, let's. It's around 10,000, more than 10,000. The reason I think is from the drop in 70s, because at this time IAESTE decided to not to deal anymore with the field work, manual work. Yeah. So yeah, before it was very popular that students were simply doing the manual work in the factories. There was a lot of manual workers. So there was like 100 or 200 students going to one factory, and for example from Austria to Germany, and they were working. So that was the decision made by the IAESTE not to do this kind of internships anymore. And also if you look, there was some big differences in that impacted a lot the numbers of some countries. That's why it's such a big drop there. Promoting offers, what is the criteria for the urgent sharing?
The criteria really is if you have a particular a deadline that you need to meet, an employer that you really don't want to let down. So you may have 20 unused or so open offers for Kobe offers, and we'll be constantly promoting all of them via the webpage. But if there's a particular one that you're keen to fill for those reasons I mentioned, then that's when you can fill in the form. It doesn't have to be one. You can, if you want to submit 5, you can. But it's really just a little extra effort for particular offers that for whatever reason that you want to fill urgently.
Okay, and there was also a question, I think this is maybe more preposition. I didn't notice on the webpage for the internship, you can put up a filter for countries, dates, and similar specifications for the internship. I think maybe Bruce, you can share.
I think at the moment there are only a couple of fields that you can sort on.
Yeah, there is no filter you can sort.
So you can sort, let me have a look.
And what about the drop around 90s? I would have to check it, but that might be one of the financial crises. Here, with the 90s, I have to check in details.
Okay, and I realized what you meant about having a filter. So there's no possibility to, like, at the moment, to search, say, like to search for offers in Turkey or a particular subject field. The only possibility we have at the moment is the to order them using the column headings. So if you were looking for Turkey, you could order it, but you'd still have to like go through to find the ones, all those like in Turkey, for example. We don't have a search at the moment.
but you can sort.
You can sort, but you can't search. But I think it's on the ITS's kind of list of things that we would like to have in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, the reason Stefan was asking about the drops is that maybe something that we can do similar to what IAESTE did then. Okay, and Bruce is okay. Yeah, Stefan, I will have a look. You're welcome. Any other questions? Thanks, Stefan, a lot for your questions. Very valuable ones.
Any other questions for us? Does it all make sense to everybody? Do you think it's something that you will be able to engage with? Do you think it's a positive thing?
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
IAESTE US confirms and Portugal as well.
We realize that there will be some sort of teething problems, and because this is a new thing for us, so we'll need to work together to kind of get the process exactly right. But I think that we realize that it's kind of now or never that we really need to do this before it's too late.
Okay, I think Ana Clara from Brazil was asking what we have found to be more useful when sharing offers. Like what type of information do you think are crucial ones? I think when you look at these examples or on the post, so we think it's important also not to present IAESTE as a travel agency. So definitely the field of study, the location, the length of internship, the payment, and I think in that you can see in some cases the work description is also noted. So I think this is, when you see, I think this is what countries pick up as the most crucial information that should be shared with the countries, with the students, to make them interested in the offers.
And I think the most important thing is that we have an attractive graphic that grabs people's attention and that gives them information that would be in their mind. So we try to look at it from the perspective of a student that does want to know how much they'll get paid. They want to know how long it's for and when the start date is. And then obviously, the study field is the same as that they're studying. So we kind of don't want to put too much information because then that just makes the graphic look too intense. It needs to be eye-catching enough to make them want to click and get all the further details.
You're welcome.
Great.
I think what Bruce, did you mention also that we want to boost the promotion?
Yes, so we know that certainly on Facebook, where we have a large audience, unless you do paid promotion, even for a small amount, you're very much limiting the audience you can reach. So what we plan to do with our posts related to this project, both the general ones and the individual offer ones, is that we will do some small paid promotion for each one, paid for by IAESTE ASBR. And what we generally find, even if you spend €5 on a paid promotion, it's enough then to get some traction so that it gets like organic reach and shares and likes. So we are sort of committing as well on the international level to making this work and doing paid promotion on Facebook and possibly on the Instagram as well. Okay, are there any more questions? Seems not. All right, Olga, do you think it's...
Yeah, I think we can just close, and I think we will share. Yeah, we will send you the presentation, and I think already for tomorrow's newsletter we will make also the record of this webinar available to everyone.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for being with us. You can already sign up your offers to promotion. We plan to kick it off on Monday. So
yes,
we are waiting.
Fill in the form. If you want to get involved, be first off the mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.